What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. All right, so Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody's had a great New Year's Eve, that you got home alive and had a great time. You're probably a little hungover right now, getting ready to hopefully get some black-eyed peas and some collard greens and all that stuff for the new year to bring in some good luck. You know, you're going to be making New Year's resolutions. You're going to say you're going to treat yourself better. You're going to lose weight. You're going to stop eating shit, and that'll last for a week. Yeah. We all know how this goes. We have great intentions, but reality is we're going back to the same shit that we did before. So I was in my workshop today because I'm a workaholic. And I went out there. I got somebody who their fantasy football league wants to get trophies, and they want them unfinished. So I've literally just got to make the pieces of it. So I'm going to finish those up today. I've got the house divided one. I'm going to get those together and try and see if I can ship them out without Michael on Monday, because I actually don't do the shipping. Michael takes care of that, and make sure Angelica Barone gets her shot glass. I don't know why that one's been missed, but we're going to take care of that. But while I was out there, I was listening to the talking heads, and they're talking about how the Washington football team has been a disappointment this year. The expectations for them, and they just looked bad. But hold up for a second here. You know, this is going to sound like haterade, and I probably shouldn't worry about the Washington football team. I got my own team to worry about. But I want you to understand something, that Washington is not far from where they should be. The issues Washington has now are the same issues they had from last year. And I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm trying to be realistic, because I want you to think about last year. The quarterback situation was the biggest problem Washington had last year. And trying to sign Ryan Fitzpatrick was a stopgap at best. Ryan Fitzpatrick usually is only good for about 4 or 5 games. I said this last year. And for Washington to bank on saying, we got Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tyler Heineke, you know, we're okay, it's just missing the mark. And keep in mind that last year's Washington team was 7-9 and won the division. They won the division out of default because the Cowboys were awful, the Eagles were awful, and the Giants were just as bad. What's crazy is the perception that the Washington football team was this great team and that they've fallen. They haven't fallen. Believe it or not, their offense has been better this year than it was last year. Now, make no mistake, the defense has taken a step back, but I dare say part of the problem with that is, and let's be fair to them, I think if they had had their whole team after playing Dallas, they beat the Eagles, but the COVID Washington football team didn't have a chance. And I believe if, you know, looking at this game tomorrow, that this game will be a lot closer than what Eagle fans really think. But let's be clear. The defense of the Washington football team last year feasted on a lot of bad teams, a lot of bad quarterbacks. Remember, Dak Prescott didn't play, and Dak Prescott has been golden for the Cowboys versus Washington. I believe it's only one game that Dak Prescott has started against the Washington football team that they've lost. Last year, they played Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton. If you take those 2 games away from the Cowboys and add them to the Washington football team, that alone makes this team a great team, or at least a better-looking team than where they are now. Just those 2 games. But their defense last year truly feasted on a lot of bad quarterbacks. You had Carson Wentz, who was completely checked out. Carson Wentz's problem being between Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, and not having Frank Wright. And had it not been for the Eagles pulling Jalen Hurts late in the game, it might have been a 6-10 Washington team and the New York Giants going to the playoffs. But remember, the Eagles pulled Hurts while they were having a comeback and benched him to make sure that they didn't win that game. So to say that the Washington football team, that they've been a disappointment and that they should be up and, doing all of this, that, and the other, is really short-sighted in looking what the Washington team was before. They had a great receiver, a decent running back, a defense front that was playing good. But other than that, where do you look at the Washington football team and say they were stacked with talent and that this team should go? Because here's the bottom line in everything. The bottom line in everything. If you do not have a good quarterback or above average quarterback, you're not going anywhere in football. You're not. Just take a look around the NFL. How many bum quarterbacks do you see as playoff teams? You don't. And to think that Tyler Heineke is, a franchise quarterback, sorry, they say we're delusional. You're delusional if you think that Tyler Heineke is the answer for quarterback and that you're set. The reality is there's only a few good quarterbacks that can do what you need to do in the NFL. And if you ain't got one, chances are you're not going to be very good. So that's where I look at it for Washington. I'm sorry to put it that way, but you shouldn't feel bad about what the Washington football team has done. Because quite frankly, they win one more game. They've won as many games as they did last year. And now you've got a better Dallas Cowboy team in the division and a better Eagle team in the division. But the Washington team, let's face it, they have a void when it comes to having enough talent to really compete. And having all the cases of COVID when they had them really stunted the growth for that team. And I'm not trying to trash them. Quite frankly, for them to compete on the level that they had and to have that streak to go through and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and things, they actually have done some damage. But they've been handicapped without that quarterback. We'll see what they do to address it in the future, but they're not the only ones that have that same issue of quarterback. There are very few of them in the NFL. I don't know if they can lure Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, or if Green Bay decides to let Aaron Rodgers go. I don't know that you get one of those guys there. And early indications from the draft are there's not a lot of franchise quarterbacks that are going to be in that draft. So where does Washington go on that? I don't know, but it seems like Washington is the place that quarterbacks' careers go to die. So it's 60 degrees in December. It's warm and it's rainy out. So we got to figure out if we're going to be outside tomorrow or if we will be inside with the weather. COVID is kind of rearing its head, and more people I know have it, so we have to start being more and more careful here at my house as well as everywhere else. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Tomorrow's big sub, since we're playing the Cardinals, I couldn't find any fresh cactus, so I couldn't do that. But our big sub is going to be a grilled fajita sub. We got pepper jack cheese and cheddar cheese to go on it. I'm going to marinate the chicken tonight with like a red chili powder sauce and lime, and make like a chipotle mayonnaise to go on it. This bad boy's going to be good. So tune in tomorrow for our live stream. We'll be starting out at 1 o'clock watching the Eagles game, and then we'll roll into the Cowboys game, and then we'll roll right into the Sunday night game, seeing what the Packers do. It's going to be a long day tomorrow, so I hope you strap in and get ready. And I'm going to get these groceries in for tomorrow.